Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got an interesting show for you. Yep, we've got some deja vu going on with the Florida Gators. If you watch that game, it was actually quite a bit worse than I expected. Now, I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to explain to you what this has to do with Butch Jones. And I've been through this, by the way, and so have all the UT fans. That's why I can see it, and it's the comparison, and I'm going to do the comparison and all that. If you're a Florida Gator fan, look, I'm not looking to kick you when you're down. I know y'all are down. If I was a Florida Gator fan right now, I would be beyond unhappy. I've been in your shoes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and rip you to shreds or anything like that, but this is not going to make you happy. So my suggestion is, and I put a warning on there for a reason, best thing for you to do,
just walk away.
Exactly. Humongous knows best. When he tells you to walk away, you probably should. Now, if you're not somebody that's easily triggered and all that, and you don't need a participation trophy, then you'll probably be okay. But otherwise, skedaddle. Now, the Florida fans, they're upset right now. They're extremely upset.
No food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
Yep, just about like that. And I can understand it. If you watch that game, that's some... I don't even know where to start. First of all, how about the play where they had two number threes out on the field? They were 10 feet apart. It's like, did the one number three not look at the other one and go, this is not good. This probably shouldn't happen. Almost, you know, you hate to even put it on the coaches. It's like they were right together. But it's obviously on the coaches. That's number one. That was a huge play, by the way. It was 7-3, and Florida was getting the ball back. They get this stupid 5-yard penalty, which is just ridiculous. So that was a turnover. And then they go down and score. So that was huge. Also, the illegal procedures over and over again. And when I mean, the third down conversions were pathetic. Fourth down conversions were terrible. Every time Florida needed to do something important, they screwed it up. Literally. Let's take a look at the stats. And you sit here and you look at this, and it's almost unbelievable. Florida had 13 rushing yards. 13. I've never even seen a number that low. I've never even heard a number that low. All I've heard from all the Gator folks all year is, oh, we're going to be a running team. We've got these two great running backs. We're going to run the ball. We've got this game manager in Graham Mertz. And, you know, we're not going to have to worry about missing those short passes anymore. We're going to hit those short passes. And all the problems that Anthony Richardson was causing for us, they're gone now. Now, we'll miss his running a little bit, but we're going to have a game manager in there. You got one. You got one. I knew they were going to miss Anthony Richardson. That guy was an absolute nightmare to deal with for a defense. And I'm going to compare these two games from last year and this year. I'm going to tell you what, had Cam Rising played, this would have been a total blowout. Florida had their starting quarterback. Utah was on their third guy. Okay?
Okay.
That's right. Number 3, their third backup guy. And used their fourth as well, a freshman. But you look at these stats. Now, Graham Mertz had 333 yards. Now, how much of that was at the tail end when they were down 3 touchdowns, which is quite a bit of it. They were playing very soft in the second half because they had a big lead. And we're going to talk about that second half a little bit and how the coaches handled that. Barnes was their number 3 backup. He was 12 for 18. Mertz was 31 of 44. That's about all they did was throw the ball. Short little dump passes, and he had a couple of mid-range. Nothing that was significant. He just kind of pitched it out there and let them run their 7 yards. 1 touchdown, the 1 interception, I kind of don't want to blame him for that one. That was kind of on Purcell or whatever his name is. Yeah, Purcell. He's a very good player, but that was more on him, I thought, than maybe Graham Mertz. But the other thing that Graham did, he got sacked 5 times, and those sacks were brutal. That really kills a drive. Nothing kills a drive like a sack. And they had 5 of them. That would have never happened with Anthony Richardson. He would have got out of 4 of them at least. The rushing, there's nothing to much talk about. Graham Mertz was minus 29. Remember that number, minus 29, when we look at the other numbers from last year. Their best running back was 25 yards, 7 attempts, and they averaged something like, I don't know, 0.6 yards a carry when you bring in the sacks. And Utah had 165. They had that one big pass at the beginning where they had a bust, and they only had 270 yards, but they just kind of packed it in the second half and just kind of held on to their lead. Is what it appeared to me. They didn't want to do anything too crazy. And again, when you've got your third string quarterback, you want to be careful. This guy here, Nate Johnson, he's a great runner. I don't know how good a thrower of the ball he is. They obviously didn't trust him too much. He only threw for 6 yards. But let's take a look at last year's numbers when they had Anthony Richardson and they had Cam Rising. Now, Anthony was 17 of 24, 75% for 168 yards. Not a whole lot of yards passing, but look down here, 11 carries, 106 yards, and 3 touchdowns rushing. He ran for 3 touchdowns. Look at the other guys. They ran for almost 280 yards versus 13. 280 yards versus 13. That's because with Anthony Richardson in there, you got to worry about him big time. Plus, even if you worry about him, you can't stop him. So you're not going to focus on those other running backs. You can cheat. You can just focus on the running backs and tackle them because Graham Mertz, what's he going to do to you? Nothing. But look at those numbers. They all had big games, 280 yards. Now, why did I bring up Butch Jones? We went through the exact same thing. When we lost Josh Dobbs, I remember there was a few people that thought, well, Josh Dobbs is a great runner, and he was the best we've ever had. He was kind of his own Anthony Richardson. But he was a pretty good passer of the ball. He wasn't great. That's why he's not a starter in the NFL. If he was a great passer of the ball, he would be all-pro easily. Plus, he's the smartest guy on the field everywhere he goes. He's a freaking rocket scientist. But anyway, when Josh left, we thought, well, the one positive thing is we'll get a guy in here with a really good arm. And the guy they brought in had a really good arm. But he couldn't run anywhere near like Dobbs. And we fell apart, okay? Dobbs was carrying us. And I think that's what Anthony Richardson has been doing for the last year. I think he was carrying the Gators. Because you saw what they did in that bowl game. They scored 3 points. 3. And they had to kick a field goal with less than a minute to go just so they didn't get goose-egged. So it was pretty obvious to me they needed a quarterback. And they went out and got Graham Mertz, who he's a talented guy, but he's not going to be a difference maker. He's just a middle-of-the-road Division I athlete. Nice arm, doesn't run worth crap. But, he's pretty accurate. And he's going to get you some yards throwing the ball, between 5 and 10 yards. And Utah gave him that the whole game. But once they got in the red zone, he couldn't do much. They never scored. And here's what I'm talking about. This is Florida down here on the left. 1 for 13 on third down conversions. 1 for 13. Utah was only 3 of 13. I'm telling you, had Cam Rising been in that game, it would have been a complete blowout. Fourth down, 2 of 5. So of 18 opportunities, they converted 3 times. And typically third and fourth downs are short yardage. Red zone, 1 for 3. 3 opportunities in the red zone, scored once. And the part that shocked me the most of everything that I saw, and this might seem like a small thing, but I think it's huge. They had 30 seconds left in the third quarter. They're down 24-3, right? And I'm sitting there going, okay, they're going to try to get 1, maybe 2 plays in that last 30 seconds. The clock literally ticked for 30 seconds. After a play, they didn't get another play in. They let it tick down to 0, and we'll just go into the fourth quarter. You're down 3 touchdowns. No sense of urgency. Nobody's, pushing to go, hey, we got to score. We got to score now. We got to hurry up. None of that. They just milked the clock. And I'm sitting there, Utah had to be sitting there going, this is perfect. They're going to sit here and milk the clock for us. There's 15 minutes and 30 seconds left, and they've got the ball, and they're going to take it down to 15 minutes, which is exactly what they did. That was very disturbing. That would be the part that bothers me the most. It's in between the 2 number 3s and the letting 30 seconds click off in the third quarter. Those would be the top 2 things that would upset me. But then they didn't rush. Even when they got in the fourth quarter, it's like, it almost felt like a scrimmage. Like they kind of knew, well, we're going to lose this game, but let's just work on our, offense. Let's just get some guys some skill work and, let our quarterback get some reps and all that kind of stuff. It was really kind of odd. I never saw Billy Napier get upset one way or the other. He just seemed real calm about it, like it felt like a scrimmage. So anyway, I don't know what they're going to do, but it feels like a Butch Jones situation. And that season just fell apart for us. I remember it very well. And Butch Jones was a great recruiter, by the way. He had top 5 recruiting classes. He was a relentless recruiter, just the way Billy Napier is. And he coaches very similar. He makes mistakes. Last year against the Vols, Billy made mistakes. He left points on the field multiple times, which could have made that ending very different. And he had a Superman on that team who had over 500 yards by himself, which was Anthony Richardson, throwing and running the ball against us. He threw for over 400 and then ran for 100 and something. He had to get his cape dry cleaned after that. It was so dirty. Anyway, folks, this is deja vu for us Vol fans. We've seen this exact situation. For the Gator fans, I'm not giving you a bunch of grief. Look, I understand exactly how you feel. This will probably be a tough season for you. But you still will play well against us 2 weeks from now. You will put out your best effort of the entire year 2 weeks from now. Graham Mertz will play well, and it'll be an extremely close game, and we'll be lucky to get out of there with a victory. I think we will. I'm probably thinking we're going to win by about 1 touchdown. But it's going to be tough. It's not going to be any blowout. Anybody thinks we're going to go down there and blow out the Gators has never watched us down at the Swamp. Gators play well, and we usually don't. So we'll see how this goes, but I don't like your season and the way it's shaping up. I think the pressure on Billy Napier is going to be intense. But he's owed $32 million, so he might get another year, or he might not. We'll see. I doubt Gator Nation's too happy. From what I've seen on YouTube, there's a lot of unhappy Gators out there. And I do feel your pain. I don't even mean that smart alecky, even though typically I would be a smart aleck. I do feel it. Been there, done that. 15 years of it, just about. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's be able to continue to cover the Vols and all our opponents. And if you've not subscribed, it's right over here. Just hit that little button. Cost you nothing. Shia would appreciate it. He's been out of work. This is the only work he can get right now is doing this, so hit that little button right there. Help him out. And right over here's the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll love. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.